All right, thanks for joining us again, everyone, for part 2 of this conversation with Elvin, who's created an amazing community. And I just wanted to talk more about, I guess, the idea of community. It seems to me that there's a real dearth of community these days. I suppose back in the old days we had smaller tribes, much more homogenous as well. You know, Australia being a multicultural country, we've got a different way of doing things, I suppose. And I suppose churches aren't the social hub that they used to be. Now we're much more reliant on school, university, and our workplaces. But of course, you can't be a complete animal in those places, can you? And that's what you talked about in the first episode, that, this basketball competition gave you an outlet to really let go. I want to talk about communities in general and how nice it is to be part of something. Now, you said you've got a lot of different people from a lot of different walks of life, and it sounds like everyone's getting something out of this. It's much deeper than throwing a ball. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, I guess, basketball is the heart of this group, but, we've built a community now where, people feel safe and people have made friends and have met there and, are doing other things outside basketball. I mentioned earlier about guys that started this group with me. I've got Morris, who's still there every week.
Yeah. Can't rebound that guy.
Oh,
strong. He's a beast.
He's a guy that you'd fear on the court.
Yeah.
Just
nicest guy.
Physically and very competitive, but just on the side, he's just one of the nicest guys that.
I copped an elbow from him. It's my fault. I got in the way of it.
His elbowed me, and we're in the same team. Ended up.
I think I was on the same team.
Being concussed, but we've got Morris, who, like I said, who's still there, who helps organise this community, and it's just grown to mates of mates. And I think it's important to have that because, as we know, our lives are so busy with our weekly, everyday situation, work that we're in, that we forget about us. You mentioned taking back that time, and I think time on the court at basketball when we're there, it's just a different feel. It just feels like it's almost like a second home.
So where would we be doing this if you didn't have the Hills social basketball competition? What would your man outlet be? What would your social outlet be? What would your community be?
I'm not going to answer for you, but it's a tough question.
Yeah,
it really is.
Yeah.
It's what do you? Maybe you do find things, but at the moment, I know I'd struggle to answer it. So enjoy that.
Yeah, a very tough question. So I guess without this, we all start with our families.
Yeah,
that's a community there.
Yeah. Good point.
Making sure that we look after our kids.
Yeah.
Our family, our parents, partners. So that's a little community there. And then you've got your work community, and that's something that we all need to do. Living in Sydney, it's like family, home, and then it's something else.
Well, there is. It is that sort of that one little self-care. We've talked about self-care, and I believe it is that. People choose to do some weird and wonderful things, and they put everything into it, and obviously there's those pillars of yes, family, work, but you do need your own time to a certain degree. Some need more than others, but that's that's a hard question to sort of say where
I think it's really interesting, Jarad, that you've just said we need our own time. But we're talking about spending time with other men. So it sounds like it's really important for us, part of our own time and part of our self-care is connecting with men in particular.
Yeah.
And when we're terrible at talking about our inner feelings, aren't we? I mean, I'll put my hand up. I could talk in front of a whole assembly at school and be able to talk about what I need to talk about. And then, you then start having conversations about your life and your feelings inside, and somehow I pause and I turn away. I get stuck. I get stuck, and I think sport and I think being with people you know and you're comfortable with, and moving starts to open you up.
Yeah.
I find that, that those informal chats on the side when we're not playing, I feel sometimes they're the deepest conversations I've had with those people. Or my week, when I have those times with the guys that we play with. They'll talk a little bit about what's happened at work, but then they start going on about family, and they start talking about their struggles and, how to be, how do you raise your kids, or I'm stuck with this. I'm stuck with this. What do I do about, what do I do about, my son or my daughter, or, at work, I'm having this challenging, I've got this challenging situation. What do I do about that? Sometimes they tell you, not just, I think it's just an outlet. I think it's just, speaking out loud. And you don't realize when you're tired and when you're sitting side by side. They say that if you sit side by side, that you actually have a proper, natural conversation.
That's interesting.
And that's why sometimes when people go for walks, apparently that's a better way to have a conversation with people, because you're looking at the same direction. It's not as intimidating. So,
exactly. It's less confrontational, isn't it?
We're just thinking about it now, sitting on the side with on the bench with people and just having a chat and having a laugh too. It's not always deep conversation. It's just laughing at ourselves or laughing at Arnell or Sheldon, who just, hit a 3 or miss a 3 and paid out on each other. It's those two are characters.
Those two.
So,
look, you touched on it. Obviously, guys, it's not a natural thing for us to sit down and just go, mate, I'm having some troubles, or mate, or even happiness. Like we don't go out there and sort of like, oh, mate, it's literally like we've got to stay in this box, I guess, and having these situations where we are side by side, and and we've talked about this sort of stuff before, and I've talked about it about my footy mates, like whilst we don't sort of catch up, a lot of us now, but mate, what we shared side by side, will never be broken, and it could be 20 years down the track and all this sort of stuff. So it's, there is something in that, and it's, and to use, unfortunately, but just men, I think, are programmed to, I think it's deep down, it's something that's probably generational, generation and generation before us.
Women are definitely better.
They're better
with communication. Naturally.
So this is a spot, and this is a place where guys can kind of be women, but no, like can open up,
and do it in a masculine way. I think it sounds, and this is just a theory I've got, just thinking about it. Maybe because you're already in a vulnerable state. You're tired. You've sweated together. You've shared something together already. So there's already a bond. So sitting down together side by side, it's easy to just open up at that point already.
I don't want everyone to think that we just sit on the benches, holding each other's hands and talking about our life. But, it is definitely, you could go weeks and weeks and weeks of, just playing basketball. But then when someone's in need, like this is something that I've found with this, is when someone actually needs help, which we all do at some stage in our life.
Absolutely.
Some without a question, these guys would, and I'm going to say, I don't know them. Like, I turn up on a Saturday and, say good day and talk to them, play basketball, but if I was ever in some form of trouble or needed help, all you'd have to do is put a call out.
I think that's how it is. And we talk about side by side, it actually spills out into the car park. Those conversations. So, I'd walk out when, it's time to go, and there's still guys hanging around, and it's just great to see that, we can have people like that catch up, because I think I mentioned before that, we're in that box where we've got to go to work, we've got to rush to the next job, we've got to go to the kids, I've got to finish this off, I've got to mow the lawn, but there are guys that do take time and chat.
It's really awesome.
It's really good to see that.
I've got a question here, and I think we've kind of already answered it, but You know, why do you do it, mate? Like, honestly, like, why? I feel stupid asking because we've probably already discussed it, but, you know, going back, what kept you doing this? Like, it was obviously the love of the game started somewhere, but, you know, for me, you know, there's more to it for you. For you to devote so much time, it's more than a game of basketball, yeah?
I do love the game, and, you know, it's grown from me and being with people, and now also seeing my children play the game, and having 2 boys, knowing that, you know, I've got a daughter as well, knowing that Shayla speaks a lot better about her inner feelings, better than the 2 boys, and, you know, knowing that these boys will need outlet. It's something that I hope to keep going. But why do I do it? I need that outlet myself. I think, and I've seen and I've spoken to guys over the years about, you know, them either having difficult times or them enjoying just turning up. It might be because they need someone as well. I don't know. I don't go and ask. You know, if they people talk, I'm there. And I've had people, you know, be there for me when I've had struggles. You know, I still do struggle.
We all do.
We're
all human.
So the game almost becomes like a second thing. It takes a backseat. I love competing. Especially when we get into these mini comps. I love the camaraderie. You know, when we were into this stoppage where there's mini comps, people have actually created chat groups. They're in their little community in their teams and talking strategies. So all of that, the competitiveness, the camaraderie, just seeing the guys, the yelling and screaming, the physicality of the game, and just seeing kids come through. And, you know, hoping that one day when my kids are in need and going, you know, like, I need something, or I want to play in a competition, or, you know, I've met someone else's kids through there and now playing the game. You know, all of those I'm hoping for that, you know, becomes or continues anyway for our community.
That's brilliant.
And a bit of exercise too, I have to say. You know, we didn't really touch on that because...
good point.
Mate, through COVID, everyone stopped. You know, everyone stopped playing and just...
I noticed there was a few jerseys a little bit tighter.
So, you know, like, it's all of that, I guess. You know, the physicality, the you know, the mental state of people.
I mean...
friendship.
There's obviously a huge amount of reasons why you keep doing it, and that's, you know, it's evident, your passion and
it's just a break from our weekly grind too. You know, like
totally.
So you're getting a lot out of it. You're obviously putting in a lot. I just want to ask you, are you aware of how much responsibility you have as basically the leader of the group?
You mentioned that word leader. I don't consider myself a leader because I just feel that everyone in there has some sort of leadership in the community that we have. I'm just a voice, but you know what? There are so many leaders in that group. Whether it be someone that is, you know, when we get in our team, someone will talk and someone will chat, or just, you know, the older guys teaching the guys on the side while they're waiting to get on about what they could do. Guys that talk about just other things that they're passionate about. You know, there are people out there that collect things and talk about that. To me, all of these people that chip into the community are leaders. Without them, we won't have a group.
Well, that's the answer a true leader would give. Someone who doesn't take credit for everything and wants to share the experience with everybody. So that's beautiful, Elvin. And I'm using that word deliberately. It is truly beautiful because I hear so many leaders in the media talking about themselves and trying to sell themselves as this or that. And it's so nice to hear someone just distribute the credit to everybody. So thanks for sharing that with our listeners. It's truly beautiful.
I'm sure I could disappear a couple of weekends and it'll still run.
And that's very humble.
So,
but obviously you have a leadership role. Let's go back to that then. Do you feel that, hey, there's a lot of people looking at me. There's a lot of younger people looking at me. I need to act a certain way. I need to be a certain way. I need to pass on a certain kind of culture and knowledge.
I don't know if I actually see it that way, but I guess there are people that, want to listen and want to know what to do next, or, where to be, or, what we need to do. I guess I mentioned before, it's the teacher and me being organised. So, making sure that I communicate through the week with, some people, making sure that, we've got things ready for the Saturday. I mean, the courts as well. We need to make sure that that's ready for us.
Booked, yeah.
So all those things that we put in, which isn't all that big because so many people chip in and help. And the team. I mean, that's one thing that I do say I enjoy. It's almost like a game of chess within myself. I play against myself because, I mentioned before, I want the teams to be competitive. And so I hope the guys do too. I think there's been a couple of times where someone's actually created the teams that we go into on the weekend, and I was actually excited because it was almost like a Kinder surprise. I don't know who I'm going to be with. Although that spoils it for me every weekend. I think guys look forward to who am I going to be playing against, because I've had guys ask, look, who's in whose team, and I just want to know who I'm going to be playing against. So that organisational part, yes, I do. I do make sure that happens. Before we enter the weekend. So,
what about the way you conduct yourself? I guess I was more edging towards that. I think it's something that's important to me anyway. Like if I have a great manager, for example, who is very organised and does every part of the job right, but isn't exactly the best person or doesn't have a great personality, it does make it harder to want to play for that person. I always think, be a captain that people want to play for. Are you aware of that, the way you conduct yourself as a person?
I always said, even with the students, you've got to be firm but fair. And also, make sure that you can laugh at yourself, have a bit of a laugh at, things, because you can't take things too seriously. But I mentioned to Jarad before, I don't think we've had anyone in the group where I've had to say, look, you've got to leave. So I think they know the expectation that, this is social basketball. Yes, play hard, but, you've got to be fair. And I try to play by the rule.
A lot of guys sort of, there's a couple of guys, and El's one of them, that, if there is a little bit of a flare-up of some kind of, adrenaline going and someone, disagreeing with someone, competitiveness coming out, realistically, I've seen you probably 2 or 3 times just have to come over and go, boys, just, hey, that was the call, or something like that, because we referee our own games sometimes, and that can be hard. Like I've refereed a couple of times in the last couple of weeks, and I feel like I'm not a referee.
As you're playing?
No, so it's sort of like a duty thing. So
right.
When my team isn't playing, I'll referee, but, and sometimes you miss a call because I'm not a referee.
Yeah.
But, and you're like, oh, sorry, boy. And majority, like 99% of the time it was fine. Some people give you a bit of a serve, but they don't mean it.
Actually, there was an instance where I've had to pull a guy aside. And say it wasn't a competition, it was a social game, and young guy, very competitive against another guy who, very physical, but not intending to hurt anybody. They got heated up, and I think as men, you just talk it out, pull them aside. I mean, I didn't get them to, and I don't intend to make them make up.
No,
but just understand that, hey, listen. We do get competitive, but, we're not here to hurt each other. We're here to still play by the rules, I guess. And everyone wants to win. When you're playing, you want to win, but you just have to remind them about, okay, listen, I don't want it to be safety first. And want it to be competitive, but, there is a line that you've got to draw where, you can't hurt anyone.
Nel's one of the guys that can kind of do that. You say leader and all that. I mean, he makes his call in commissioner. But people respect what Elv has done and is doing. And if he or, a couple of the other guys he's mentioned that just pull someone aside and say, hey, and I think, I don't even know but the herd kind of sorts itself out. If there is somebody in the team,
moment thing, I've been there. When I was younger, where you get so competitive that You have.
I've seen it for years.
Yeah.
I've seen it for years in all sorts of
Either
sports.
other players or to the referees. Basketball, unfortunately for the referees, I mean, and a lot of referees, they
Polarised.
So
Because guys miss a shot or do something stupid, and then they blame the referee.
Yeah,
because
so-
it's such an like that guy was near me and fouled me, and and it's quite subjective.
And
in a
that's
little way.
one of the reasons why in this little mini competition we wanted the referees or the players to actually referee games, because you see the other side of side of the game.
Yeah.
You give it to them so much that you start to go, okay, this is how it feels.
Yeah.
I've refereed Ostag basketball, and some of the guys from Ostag, they're like, ex NRL players or want to be NRL players that just give it to you, and you've been there where you think this is my perspective, this is what I saw, this is what I've done.
Yeah.
You're wrong, and I think just having that experience, it just gives you a different perspective.
Yeah.
I always say, mate, I'm not a player, I'm not a referee, I'm a player, but hey, as a player, I miss shots as well, I'm going to miss a call. And you miss shots, so don't blame, no one's perfect,
Look at the professional sport. They miss some of these calls. Even
at 6:30 on a Saturday morning, I'm not going to get it.
Exactly.
I was out of bed half an hour ago.
Exactly.
But no, it's a pretty awesome space. So, and the opportunities that we all sort of get, I said I'd get to be a referee. I'm never going to do that. I don't know if I like it at the time, but as I get older, I'm like.
I will ask you this question though, Jarad. I know that question's on me, but if you were to name the top 3 players since you've started, from the group, who would you pick? I'm putting you on the spot here.
Oh, dude,
who would you pick and why?
Mate, I'm really much on the spot. I'd have to go my mate Casey. He's one of the top guys, and I think it's just the leadership and sort of never under pressure, if that makes sense. Always knows kind of the right play to do. Everyone makes mistakes and he does too, but he would probably be in one of the top 3. I don't know, mate. I'm probably going to say I'm liking the way Ben's playing. He's a solid player. He's just an all rounder. He's one of the guys that travels from Cronulla,
all the way from Cronulla, from the south.
Yeah. So he's another 45-minute drive. He'd have to leave at 5 o'clock in the morning to get there, and look, I think there's a lot around the third. Those two stand out, but I'd have to stop there because I don't know where to. I don't want to name, but those two stand out for me. Yeah. What about yourself?
They are great players. I have to say.
Have you got anyone that I should have put in there? Because it's on the spot, and
look, Casey's. I think Casey's just. Been around since basketball started.
Yeah, I think they modeled the ball.
You talk to people outside our group and they know Casey, so he's just a natural player, and Ben's just hard to guard. He's just so difficult for his size. You'd expect him to just play outside, but he can play anywhere. So. I'd have to say for that third one, some of that leadership and just the way they play the game is Morris.
I was thinking. I know. Yeah, but he elbowed me, so I didn't.
I know he gets really competitive, but just his presence, it's not just all about me; it's about team. And I've seen that side of him being in his team before, but playing against as well. And I have to say, I've hit him a few times, and he hasn't complained, and he gives it back. So
there's 3 guys we named, and obviously people listening, you're not going to know who they are, but that's 3 out of, like I said, there's 500 members. There's probably, would you say maybe 60, 70
I guess
active?
in any sport, we did mention that there will be top 3 and different reasons why. It's not just about that offensive mind or defensive mind, or it goes outside that, doesn't it? It's
and
personalities, it's leadership. We talked about that.
But that's, there's such a great amount of guys that turn up and play, and we all say g'day, and to me, like we name 3 guys that are good players, but you know, there's guys that turn up that, you know, any level like can turn up, and playing with guys that, you know, some of the 3 we mentioned, there's some guys that helps their game, you know, and we're 40-year-old men, like we're not going to make the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going to make we're not even going to make a rep time. We're literally lucky even playing a Tuesday night comp, but for us, it's just that moment, and you can, and when you're like, you know what, I can get better by doing what he did, or that guy, he told me, or, you know, same sort of thing. It's so great mentorship. You know, that can happen for older guys too. You know, guys that aren't naturally gifted, or, you know, just...
That's right. And, you know, in a team, you need all the pieces to be able to function,
like any,
right?
Yeah, like, that's right.
So family, team, sporting team, you know, different clubs, different things. You need every pieces to be able to function. And it's just amazing that, you know, some of the guys that aren't, you know, like at their peak can still chip in.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm thinking about your Andes, and, you know, your BJs who will somehow, you know, shine in some of the games. Like, how did he do that? And they're the things I enjoy watching, because, you know, they're the ones that you go, okay, you don't expect this guy to be able to do this, and next thing you know, they're just gone and just
pull something
out
of
the hat, or have just, you know,
done something,
made the winning shot. So it's those are the things that you talked about what I enjoyed most. Those are sometimes the things that I like to see, that guys that, you know, will still contribute, but also guys that will still stop.
But it also gives those some people just those little moments where, you know, like you get that, like you hit that game winning shot, because on the regular Saturdays, when we don't play those intercomps, we play 7-minute games and we go for an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? So you can imagine how many games are being played. So there's a lot of game-winning shots you can be had, and you know, somebody who doesn't, stops or steals or whatever, big plays that can happen, and you know, they're just little wins. You know, for somebody, sometimes somebody needs just a little win, whether it be, oh wow, I blocked that guy,
or those little wins. I don't know about you, but those little wins actually carry me through the week.
Yeah.
You know, you have a bad moment, or you're having a tired day. You know, you play that Saturday morning thing, and you remember, you go back to that. I remember, you know, making this pass to this guy, or someone saying, "Hey, good job."
That's the positiveness, the positivity of having somebody just go, "Mate, that was an awesome shot."
And I don't know about you, but on the side, you hear this encouraging call sometimes, and I ask the kids, because I coach basketball teams or sporting teams, and I would ask the players sometimes. Mainly kids, say, did you hear me when I yelled out do this? They say no.
Yeah, right.
I don't know what it is, but as I got older, you know, that encouraging shots when you get on your elbow, those things sticks to me. I miss the shot, but you know, like it's a good shot or good effort. You know, those I don't know what it is, but I remember those. You mentioned little wins.
Yeah.
You know,
I think they're important. Yeah, the little wins. You know, like
definitely,
and that's there in that community. Every week, if someone wants to do it, you know, so
it's like a man just wants his chance to be a hero, and he gets it. He gets the opportunity every week. Yeah, that's truly amazing, Elvin. Before we finish up, I just want to know, how do you see your involvement in this as time goes on? I mean, I guess we're getting older. Hopefully, you can play for another 10 or so years. But can you see yourself, if this competition were to continue, can you see yourself being part of it for a very long time?
Well, I hope to be part of it for a very long time. Yes, you know, and I mentioned before about, you know, the young guys coming through and you know, the people that are there. I mean, we say we're older, but there are, you know, 20-year-olds, 19-year-olds that are playing, and hopefully they carry it through. And you know, when we stop playing, I hope that the group still continues, and I hope that they mentor the younger ones, you know, as they come through. So definitely. I'd like for someone to pick the teams one week, a couple of weeks.
I think maybe we should organise that for you, mate. I think maybe the few of us should get together and have a few beers and then pick some teams. That'd be interesting. But yeah. Maybe we can. It'd be good when we get to that age where we can't play and just sitting there talking about how good we were and watching the young kids going, "We'll do.
We could be.
We're has-beens or never were, never wers, never wases." That's another good word for me. Wases.
Well, Elvin, thanks so much for joining us. It's been a real pleasure. It's great knowing that there's a connection between older and younger players out there in basketball, and there's an opportunity for men to, I suppose, be men.
Yeah, I second that. It's like I said, you do a lot, and I don't mean to embarrass you, but I think you do a lot more than you think. So basketball has, like I said, is the heart of this, but there's a lot more to it, and it's nice to know that that's there. Like, I don't turn up every week, but it's nice to know that, hey, I just feel like just broing out for a while, and then. I might go for a couple of weeks, but for me, that's just nice to know. It's almost, it's just a nice little security blanket to know that I've got that community there when I need it, and maybe hit a few threes while I'm there.
I think you mentioned, I think people are there for us, and we're there for them. So I hope that continues.
Yeah.
And it's up to the people that do that, and I think we've got to. I say I'm probably being biased, but we've got a great group of guys that just look after each other and play the game with love. So
that's awesome.
That's brilliant. Thanks so much, Elvin. Thanks, Jarad.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kiwi.